Some U.S. governors plan to begin reopening economies this week. They say we don't have to wait until May 1st. With some 95% of Americans under lockdown amid the declarations in all 50 states in response to the pandemic, governors are making plans to reopen businesses and public life. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott wants to begin opening parts of his state next week ahead of his previous May 1st target. He says, "We want to open. Texans love to work. Texans are dying to get back to work." This is what he said on Fox News' Sean Hannity Monday night. He says, "We want them to get back to work, but we have to do so in a very safe way so that we don't regenerate the spread of the coronavirus," of course. The governor said he and his team are working with medical experts and business leaders to find the right strategy so we can unleash our economy, he says. We don't have to wait until May 1st. The White House, according to sources familiar with this, who spoke to Breitbart News, said about 20 states intending to begin the reopening process as early as later this week, but definitely before the end of April. Trump has named the new task force to lead the federal government's efforts to restart the economy, and the president's claim during the coronavirus task force briefing Monday said he has total authority to decide how and when to reopen the economy, and it drew criticisms from some governors, including New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo. We know that New York is the worst case of the United States. Trump said that the President of the United States calls the shots, promising to release documentation of his legal argument. He said, "We don't have a king, we have a president," and that was a big decision. Cuomo said on the Today Show interview on Tuesday, he says, "We ran away from having a king, and George Washington was president, not King Washington, so the president doesn't have total authority. The Constitution is there, the 10th Amendment is there, it's very clear states have power by the 10th Amendment." In a briefing Monday, Vice President Mike Pence defended Trump. He said, "I support the president's leadership under the national emergency declaration he signed. We're standing before you today for the first time in history when all 50 states have issued emergency declarations and also in the territories." Cuomo said Monday that his state, which has become the epicenter of the pandemic in the U.S., has contained the coronavirus and the worst is over. We do see a downturn in the cases, thank goodness, because of the isolation and the lockdown. So that's helping a lot. Now, he led a conference Monday with Democratic governors from states in his region to discuss ending the lockdown. Washington State, Oregon, and California have announced a pact to work together on reopening their economies. Flawed models. The models that have informed government decision makers during the pandemic have drastically downgraded their initial forecasts. The White House relied on a model by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington to extend its 15-day to slow the spread guidelines another 15 days. And that initially forecast from 100,000 to 240,000 deaths in the U.S., but the prediction was downgraded several times, down to 93, then to 81, and then to 61,000. So the IHME model also was way off in its prediction of hospitalizations. Breitbart noted public officials were forced to rely on the models because they had no real-world data as the disease spread so quickly. The Surgeon General, Dr. Jerome Adams, said that the White House team is no longer relying on these models. He said it's important to know that models are projections when you don't have the data. Our original models were people's best guesses or they were informed by experts in very different cultures and very different places. And what the American people need to know now is we actually have data and we're tracking that data and we're not as reliant on these models as we are, as say, this is what happened in California, this is what happened in New York, this is what happened in New Orleans. He said the data is being given to local governments and communities so they can make intelligent and informed decisions about when and where to reopen. It's not going to be a light switch going back on. Different communities will reopen sooner than other communities and will have to do so based on their testing data and not a model, but the actual data and their capacity to be able to follow up on cases and to isolate them. And we know that, of course, some cities are very overpopulated, other areas are very rural, so that they have social distancing by the outlay of their towns and cities. So we'll see what happens. This is on WND. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.